My guest today is Shashwat Gupta, founder of Altcoin Buzz. Our conversation today focuses on the use cases of blockchain and gaming and deep dive into other hot topics of the day, including predictions on the future of the internet and why we should be paying attention to the metaverse. We'll cover it all: NFTs, blockchain technology, crypto, gaming, Web3. I hope you enjoy this wide-ranging and fascinating conversation with Shash. Here's a short intro before we invite him into our podcast virtual studio. Shash has been a crypto enthusiast since 2015 and entered the emerging cryptocurrency space full-time in 2016. His business expertise and extensive knowledge in the crypto space have helped shape Altcoin Buzz to be what it is today. Altcoin Buzz delivers the latest news and opinions in the world of cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, and blockchain gaming. Since its launch in mid-2017, Altcoin Buzz has garnered over 250,000 subscribers, 25 million plus views on YouTube, over 500,000 monthly website visitors, and 110,000 plus followers on Twitter. So without further ado, let's welcome Shash. Hey, my friend, can you see me? Can you hear me?
Hi, Wayne. Yes, I can see you. I can hear you loud and clear. How's it going?
I'm incredibly well. It's so great that to finally, put a face to your voice. And I think we'll be exchanging texts in a couple of days leading up to this show opening, right? So it's always great that to be doing this together with someone who is, I would call an expert in this space. And it's a huge honor and privilege. So, I think it would be great if we could maybe kick things off for us. And I think the best place to probably begin would be for you to outline what I'll call your overall thesis or maybe your sort of philosophy of investing in the crypto space. We know that you've been doing it for a long time. So I think it's a comprehensive approach and you're not just attacking one part of the ecosystem. So maybe just frame this whole thing up for us to begin. Perhaps let's do a little history here before we jump in to what ENJINSTARTER and Altcoin Buzz is doing now. Talk to us about what brought you down the cryptocurrency and then the NFT and the metaverse rabbit hole.
Absolutely. So I think first things first, it's hard to call me or anyone an expert in this space right now. It's such a young space. So much stuff is happening. There's so much to learn here every day. I think on a daily basis, I feel like, there is so much more to go, right? The more knowledge we cover, the iceberg just becomes more and more pointy. I think it's really very, very exciting for what's happening in this space. And the fact that we are in it right now and that we can see how it's going to evolve. It's like literally watching the evolution of the internet from, early 90s and seeing how it evolves from there to now. And we missed out on it, right? Like I was too young at that point of time to see or be involved in it, but this wasn't an opportunity worth letting go. But that said, I think, coming back to the expert part, an expert is just someone who knows more and more about less and less. And then after a while, he knows everything about nothing. And that's like the eventual trajectory. So no experts in this space. However, I think keeping an open mind, being patient and being ready to learn new things in this space always makes it more interesting as an investor in this space to find out what's going on. And we all work, everyone in this space who's there, I think kind of works like a futurist and is always looking for what's going to happen next, which changes the way things are happening, right? So I feel this is super exciting to figure out how you can invest better. And you kind of put it correctly that the thesis keeps changing, right? The way I used to invest kind of keeps evolving over time. But now it's at that stage where we are just looking at what's going to happen in the future because nobody's investing in the present. That's what we call speculation in this space, right? Like if you look at why the price of a particular project is a certain amount right now, it's not because I think it's going to be at this level now. It's because I'm assuming that's in the future. So the best way to survive and be excited about this space is to look into the future. And that's what we're all doing. We are looking at what's going to happen. And that's where we then break it down to what people would use, what would be exciting for them, which is going to gain value, which is going to get momentum. And then, we figure out who's building these things, and then we invest in them. So that's like the basic philosophy. More than that, it's also about working with people who have that long-term vision, who want to solve a problem and are not willing to change their mindset about the problem they're willing to solve if they realize that the trends and the industry is shifting towards something else. For example, sorry about that. For example, if somebody believed back in, let's say, 14, 15, that legacy coins, like making another coin like Litecoin or Doge or XRP, was going to be the future, then as of now, it would not make too much sense from a base layer protocol perspective, because you're getting all these smart contract base layer protocols like Ethereum, which are getting a lot more traction right now. And I think that kind of thinking and open-mindedness from both a developer, a builder, and an investor perspective is very important to see what's happening in the altcoin space. Like I usually say, it's the easiest thing to do in this space is to just buy Bitcoin and do nothing else, because with Bitcoin you really don't need to do much. It's like gold, right? You just keep it and you don't need to do anything more. But if you're going to get involved from a tech side of things, you want to invest and be involved with things which are going to be useful more than just a store of value, then there is a lot more happening. But then that's where the risks, the speculation, the technology, the use cases, the users, the community, the marketing, PR, regulation, compliance, all these things come very seriously into play.
That's really insightful. I think it's super spot on, what you just mentioned about Bitcoin, especially. And I think we are all like observing, what is this next phase of the Great Reset, right? It seems to be taking place sooner than later, with even, some of the developed countries around the world. They have even begun evicting, those who couldn't pay their rent or mortgages during these lockdowns, right? And it seems that the mayhem will probably intensify, shortly thereafter. And we can't expect like the traditional financial system to crumble, like probably even within the year. Of course, these are just speculation, but we all think that, paper money is at the end of its life cycle. Yeah, too much debt. And perhaps even central bank digital currencies will become more prevalent. So it's always good, great, for everyone to start preparing. Do you think that is the right statement to say?
Yeah, I think what you're talking about is an extremely macro perspective. And while I have a lot of friends and I find out a lot more about looking at it from the macro perspective, seeing where the global trends are headed, where the global financial trends and monetary systems and what's changing on it is interesting and important. It's not the focus of the work that I do. Like for me, that's just that just changes me to invest 5 or 10% more or less at a particular time. Doesn't really change too much, right? What we can do is things that we can analyze and foresee, and it's all about focus, right? I think everyone needs to focus and be involved with things that they understand, and there has to be focus areas, and then things like the macro perspective, which for me is not my focus area. I keep it in mind to take any action that I do, but it's not something I can comment too much on. And I think CBDCs are interesting. It's going to get people to experience something that they haven't. I think the use case is very, very interesting, and it's kind of mandatory as well, right? Like if I can have a wallet where I can keep my money, let's assume that's how the currency is being used, and I can transfer money, pay my tax with it, I can pay for groceries with it, I can pay my rent with it. I don't need banks anymore. So like CBDCs will work with one or two banks to kind of build their infrastructure, and then people could directly deal with stuff. Of course, you will be much under the eye of the governments, but we don't know where this is headed, right? Like there is so much speculation, so many things that we will learn as things go further. um, but it's good to know that, but there is no way to be involved in it or do anything. Like it is what it is going to be. We cannot do too much about it, but just look at it from a something which is happening perspective. Coming back to the side that we deal with, which is uh, this fringe technology which we are kind of working on. Like we're assuming that things will head in a certain direction, and then we take actions, and then we look at builders, and then we imagine how things will be. Things like the metaverse, things like the future of DeFi, etc. Now these things are something which I find far more interesting and worth spending time, effort, and energy on, because these things we can do a lot in, we can be very involved in. These are companies that are really young, and they're vibrant, and they're doing things that are not done by anything else, and the space has so much weird stuff sometimes going on that keeping an eye on it becomes uh, pretty worthwhile. And I think that's my analysis on that. So yeah.
Very good analysis. And I think let's focus back and maybe focus next on the use cases of blockchain and gaming instead. You mentioned about the metaverse. So I think this is probably an area where you could maybe help educate our listeners as well, and those who are watching this live on the Facebook and everywhere else. Could you maybe tell us, why gaming studios, brands, and marketers should think of NFT as a process versus an art product, and maybe replicate it across every part of the blockchain, gaming, and consumer internet?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that blockchain adds a layer of ownership and transferability over the internet. And we didn't have that before. And really, these two things are a real game changer. In my opinion, when the internet came about in the 90s and it started gaining popularity, this should have been a part of the internet. People should have been able to own and transfer digital goods then. But we are lucky, right? We have this opportunity that blockchain didn't become really usable or like put into practice till 2008, till Bitcoin came about. And Bitcoin became the first use case, and something that people realized is adding serious value to the ownership and transferability of digital goods. And that's the layer. And that's where all the excitement is all about, right? And looking at it from a real life perspective, right? And you spoke about art, and I'm going to give you an example of how I see it. An NFT is interesting as an art because it's made on something which is an immutable piece of paper. So if an NFT was in real life, it would be on a piece of paper that is completely immutable. That means you cannot destroy it ever. So now you've created this permanent thing. And because this immutable paper is hard to produce right now, because people don't know how to make an NFT, right? Any art on it, right? An emoji on it would become valuable, is because, oh my God, NFT, like this is crazy technology, I'm going to buy it. But value doesn't come from that. Value comes from the artist. Value doesn't come from an NFT. Just because you made an NFT doesn't mean it'll have value. It'll have value if you are a good artist, if you are scarce, if the art that you've created is something people have a demand for. And that's why I think as of now, the amount of speculation with NFT is way higher than the collectors in the NFT space. People don't want to buy NFT because they're collectors. And till we reach a saturation point where there are more collectors than mere speculators, we will not be able to determine any value of any NFT from an artwork perspective. Now, there are two types of digital NFTs that can be visualized as well. One is that represent real world art. For example, if Louvre is to make the NFT of Mona Lisa, for example, now that represents a real world art. That's more of a security token, and it's an NFT which is being produced for representing an existing piece of real world art. And these are easy to speculate on because they have a prior value. But then there is digital art which is being created specifically for NFTs that exist in the world right now, and they have too much speculation at this moment. And as it becomes easier to make more and more NFTs, they become less interesting over time. And then only the artists that are able to make themselves popular, are able to create a name for themselves, and are just good artists, will have value. For example, not every Instagram account is the top Instagram account. So the good ones will always stand out, they will always have value, and they will get enough sponsors and support and audience, etc. The ones that won't, and that's where it'll boil down to. So the way I see it, as most NFT marketplaces, like Instagram had a possibility of owning and transferring your NFTs, your images, to people, where people could buy and sell your image, and that's the marketplace which has been created. So there's a lot more that we can foresee. I'm just breaking it down to very simple terms, the way I see it right now. But bringing that to blockchain gaming, right? That's where the real fun starts, because enthusiast gamers in general don't buy a lot of game items. For example, I don't know how much of a gamer are you. I am a very enthusiast gamer. Like, I play a few games maybe on mobile or PS4 once in a while. And I will not buy the top items on those games, right? I'm an enthusiast. I play them. I don't even know if I'm going to play them a month later. But if there was an option for me to sell these game items, which I wanted to use for a while and sell it, and in case they were rare, there is a potential that I may not just get 80% back, I could get 120% back of what I invested in. Now I have less issues of buying in. So just concepts like this will start bringing in so much money into the gaming space in general. Like, these ideas will flood the market with money, because now there is a way an individual, an enthusiast, is putting in their money, because they know that they will not lose 100%. And I think there is a lot of value in that, and that's why blockchain gaming brings more money to the whole gaming, the digital gaming ecosystem in general. And that's where the growth will happen, because more money will flow in. And it's all about how much value any industry is able to lock. DeFi became hot because of TVL, right? Total value locked. And how much value were you be able to log in each of the protocols that people were launching? Uniswap was able to lock a lot. Aave was able to lock a lot. Maker was able to lock a lot. And this gave them a strength and an interest amongst not just speculators, but actual users as well. Because if you're able to lock up that much value, you are very secure in general. And bringing that to the gaming space, when you're able to lock in more value, right? Like when people are able to invest in your game items, etc., and you're able to get more revenues, then more speculators, more investors, more of everything is going to come into this space. So what we're seeing right now, and of course we can get into the existing use cases and what's happening with the play to earn model right now, but all I'm talking about is where do I see this headed in the next 2 to 5 years, and why this is the most exciting space from the blockchain and crypto perspective.
This is a very great segue into my next question for you, because I would like to know, and I think our listeners would love to know as well, why is crypto gaming and the metaverse gaining so much traction these days? And how are creators and game developers, how could they actually help to bring the non-crypto native gaming users into this metaverse?
Yeah, you did answer part of it before when you spoke about the play to earn model, as well as the interest with NFTs, right? Like, it kind of boils down together. What happened with NFTs interest, which was pushed by a lot of factors, is that people started looking for meaning, and they're like, okay, so these NFTs are cool, but where is the real value? And it instantly went towards blockchain gaming, where the NFTs, the game items, were actually being used, where people could do things with it. And then when that made sense to people, they're like, okay, man, these artist NFTs, they're not as cool, but these gaming NFTs are cooler. And then Axie was available at the right time Axie is an old game, right? Like it's not just built like 6 months ago. Like we've been following Axie since like I think 2019 or something. Uh, but that said, it got a lot of interest because people are like, I can do a play to earn model here, and play to earn model existed before, but Axie just was there at the right time with the game that people wanted to play and giving people a chance to make certain revenue. And when the situation is bad, like you were talking about earlier, and people figure out a way to survive, it it's viral. That's when things go viral, because like, hey man, I'm doing this, I'm making this money, I'm surviving, why don't you try it? And that guy's friends lost his job as well, he's looking for some way to survive as well, and they start playing this game, which is not just a game for them anymore, it's something that they're looking for livelihood. uh, of course, man, like if we dwell deep into what will be the future of it, will the economy survive, etc., there are both ups and downs, but we're not discussing how it will be in the future. We're discussing why it got so much attention and value. And seeing this, one of the things that I would like to point out is that the beauty of these games is that there is a saturation point in them, and that's a good thing. In most companies in the world, everybody wants an unlimited user base. But creating an economy where you can only get a limited user base is actually a good idea. It's not a bad thing. Creating scarcity has always been crypto's strength. Bitcoin is so valuable is because it is scarce. You know what I mean? So not every game. So the question people ask is, okay, how will Axie get 5 times more users? It's already so expensive to play this game. It doesn't need 5 times more users. You cannot have that. And that's beauty in itself. That's why now people would want to pay extra to be a part of that game, or they could play another game. That's the beauty of crypto, is that it creates such collaborative situations where after a game has reached a saturation point, there is possibility of a new game to create another interesting, more different economy than what existed before. And this is a very good thing. Most industries are competing with each other to get every user in the world. Crypto economies, if thought correctly, there's a possibility they don't need that kind of craziness. There is a saturation point, and after which the value goes up because only exclusive people can get in. And I think it's interesting to speculate on such ideas of how things can be improved from what it existed in the past with the traditional business and game systems.
This is fantastic, and I think you've touched on so many, great points that we can deep dive into or expand on, especially on Axie Infinity, right? What's going on with Axie Infinity is remarkable, and the fact that they have even a scholarship to literally pay the cost of onboarding users to the game is kind of mind blowing, and also changing the plight of all these, people from all these poor countries in Southeast Asia, like Philippines and Vietnam, right, who are now, leaving their jobs to play, or actually some of them, because of the pandemic, right, make it impossible for them to actually, show up for work, or the work no longer is available for them to make or earn a living, right? So by doing this, playing games and playing to earn on Axie Infinity allows them to actually quadruple their income. And the main question is actually not whether all these metaverse foreign workers next job might be playing games like Axie Infinity or even another game called Sandbox, but what are they actually waiting for to change their job? It seems that everybody should go into this realm, right, and actually play to earn. And of course, you mentioned also about the opportunities are plenty, and it's actually important to come up with another game, another blockchain game that actually has the same sort of impact that Axie Infinity is creating around the world. Yeah, I was just looking at the charts. I think on that radar today, in terms of like NFT trading volumes, they are all going up all over the place, and thanks to several big purchases. Yeah. Even from funds like I think Mining DAO or Three Arrow Capital, there have been a lot of big purchase across many NFT collections, especially CryptoPunks, which actually saw their trading volume increase by more than over 1,000% in 1 week. to more than 121 million. But despite the strong trend, the biggest NFT collection is still this gaming project, which is what you have just mentioned and highlighted to us, Axie Infinity. So that brings to the next question I have for you. Could you maybe share with us, or maybe talk to us about in terms of the crypto gaming and the metaverse, right, gaining traction? What are the successful mainstream projects in 2021 where gaming NFTs are really huge, and which metaverse tokens are moving up currently? Where do you actually see speculation action, and which blockchain gaming project do you have your eyes on? This is actually a 4-part question. So over to you, my friend.
4-part questions. That's why I'm I'm answering like a part of your questions because I'm forgetting the remaining ones. But so I don't think the concept of metaverse is extremely clear, right? Like I don't think people understood the internet till they used a search engine, right? Like only when somebody used a search engine, they were able to find information, they were able to use it on a browser, right? Is when somebody really experienced what the internet was all about. Like let's assume there is no app and there is no browser, then how do you experience the internet? It's not possible. That's why for the metaverse to be experienced properly, we need to have these UX UI tools that need to be built, which will allow for people to visualize and see how the metaverse games items is linking with each other. And there is no concept of that. Like there is not a single project which has worked on putting the metaverse into a UX and UI to explain to people what's going on. Until that happens, I think it'll be a very fictional thing that we will keep speculating on what it is more than anything else. And that brings me to NFT, blockchain gaming, and other projects that are interesting. And those are the ones we can look at. So again, right, I think the metaverse visualization for a layman is very, very hard right now. Even for people like me, it takes me a lot of time to figure out where an infrastructure project that's working on blockchain gaming, etc., and what they're trying to do, how they're trying to solve things. But that said, I've always been a huge fan of Engine and the Engine ecosystem since I've minted my first NFT on it in 2018. And I think some of the concepts that they've built and some of the concepts that they've done are extremely interesting ahead of time. Like I think the co-founder VTech was one of the first guys to start the NFT ecosystem. He wrote the ERC1155 code as well. I think from the other gaming / existing metaverse perspectives, I find Decentraland very interesting. I find the Sandbox pretty interesting. There are other games and ecosystems that are building a lot of interesting stuff as well. But as of now, most of the games are being launched and built on Matic. And Matic's given a very easy to use ecosystem for game developers to tokenize, to create NFTs, to do stuff. And because of the low fees, it becomes very easy for people to use their ecosystem as of now. The big problem that we had is that in 2018, 2019, we were always visualizing that the most important thing people want to solve is decentralization, right? The reason people want NFTs is because they want to feel like they are in possession. I thought that was the most important thing. But then we realized having low fees, having the sense of decentralization is also good enough as of now. And nobody's really complaining. And even if they are, nobody's taking it seriously of how decentralized it is. Now, I don't set the trends. I just follow the trends and I just observe them. And if that is the trend, then we follow what the community says, right? Like at the end of the day, people use what they use and they get used to it, right? People don't use what is best. Like that's not the way these ecosystems are working. And although we hope that people will choose the best tools, they would want the most decentralized ecosystems. Realistically speaking, on on Ethereum, if I have to airdrop 50,000 NFTs, it could cost me somewhere between $50,000 to $250,000. Independent game developers don't have that kind of money. So all these additional ecosystems where things are free, for example, even BSC, right? It's much cheaper to transfer, and that's why BSC is doing a lot with NFTs and blockchain gaming now. Crypto.com has launched a NFT marketplace as well, and they're doing some interesting stuff with some really big names on their ecosystem. Um, then we have X Populous that's launching some very interesting games. They're working with this game called Play Lamo. I demoed that game. It is really, really interesting. Also, these things are happening, right? And then there is a layer of people building infrastructure. For example, we're looking for a project that allows for the explorer of the metaverse to be built, where we can see and find out exactly which game item can be used in what all games are connected with which, and using that and seeing that is when we will be able to evaluate better the value of NFTs and rarity, etc. Those systems are yet to be built. The other layer of infrastructure would be game testing, and I think one of the projects we are talking to is going to be thoroughly testing games and giving people and creating an economy for game testers as well. I think the other layer is connecting various technologies. Like even Ivan on Tech, the other day we were talking about, he's building this thing um, called Morales, which you write a code on one particular blockchain and it gets distributed to all blockchains, and you can, you just write it in one and then it gets usable on all the other ones. And I think if game developers also use similar technology, they use the same ideas, that their guys could use a token on any blockchain, then things become more usable, right? Like you can't have 5 internets, you can't use 5 internets, you need to use the one. So that cross-chain implementation is very important. Creation of multiverse, which is cross-chain, is very important. And these things are happening. Like things that we used to think were fictional in crypto 5 years ago are becoming realistically used by hundreds and thousands of people right now. So what we're visualizing now should happen in the next 2 to 5 years as well.
Super spot on, Shash. We have just hit the 34-minute mark, so maybe you take a short break, because guess what? We have a surprise guest, and he's waiting in the backstage. He's Prakash, CEO of ENJINSTARTER, and I can't wait to also bring him on. Maybe he will help to answer the next question I've actually prepared for you. I will let him answer the next question instead. So, Prakash, are you there?
Yes. Hi, guys. Hi, Wayne. Hi, Sash.
Hey, Prak. How's it going?
Good, bro.
This is brilliant. I know you've been waiting patiently, in the backstage. And thank you so much for your patience. And, we have reserved the last fourth question for you. Can you maybe educate and break it down for our viewers and listeners? What exactly is Engine? What is Infinity? What is ENJINSTARTER? And how does each actually play a really crucial role for blockchain gaming creators and game developers?
Sure. So Engine is primarily the pioneer in blockchain gaming, right? They did their ICO in 2017. And since 2017, they've been building in blockchain gaming. They built the infrastructure. They've got a large community. And they've also got a wallet, which caters for your collectibles as well as all your digital assets. But that's built on the Ethereum protocol. What the Engine team is now launching is what is known as Infinity, which is a purpose-built blockchain for NFTs. It's going to be built on the Polkadot blockchain, and it's going to solve the biggest issue that is troubling the entire industry, which is gas fees. I think Sash talked about that. And I think once Infinity comes in, Infinity is also going to enable a whole lot of cross-chain compatibility for NFTs. And with that, we're going to see an explosion of adoption from creators, right? Not just game developers, but people with IP, people with content who are actually now looking at leveraging NFTs as part of their strategy. And we see NFTs as a means where value transfer can actually take place, is revolutionizing how value is created and transferred, not just in a single game environment, but from one metaverse to another, from one game to another. And this is really where the vision that we're working towards. right? Engine Starter is the baby in this entire ecosystem. We're fresh off the blocks, and we are purely an ecosystem builder, right? And what we are looking at doing is to identify cool projects, provide them the infrastructure, provide them the support to allow them to actually build on the Engine and Efinity ecosystem. We will allow them to actually raise capital. We would allow them to actually build a community. And through our platform, what we hope to do is to build an ecosystem. An ecosystem is, may 1,000 flowers bloom. We expect people to come in because they're excited about the space, or like what Sar said, there are people who are looking to speculate. But the exciting thing really for us is blockchain gaming's timing has just arrived, and we believe that the horizon looks exciting. There's going to be a lot of good years ahead, and that's really what we want to do. We want to provide the tools for communities to actually be engaged with us, and I think what we are looking at doing is to gamify that entire experience, right? To find ways to use the NFT to actually incentivize loyalty. And one of these ways is actually we're going to create founder tokens. Again, this is a concept that was pioneered by Engine. They created what is known as the Multiverse Founders Token. We're going to create the same for ourselves. And anyone who actually participates in our sale, when that happens, they get rewarded with an NFT. If they hold on to it on a month-on-month basis, we'll make sure that we'll airdrop goodies to them. And we will also invite them into platforms like this to come and participate, to come and share perspectives, and just be part of the community, right? So we see ourselves as a catalyst to get the community started on Engine, but eventually we're going to be finding a whole lot of like-minded people who are passionate about different areas, guys that are specializing in different craft, and we will co-create and build this ecosystem in a manner where we will actually all do good together.
This is absolutely brilliant. And before we hand it back to Shash, right, we have some questions that we've collected last evening on our Telegram group. So it's maybe very appropriate right now to maybe present some of those questions. There are also some questions that were directed at Shash that we will present to him later on. Maybe Prakash, help us to answer this next following question by Amian, who actually sent this via Telegram. Will ENJINSTARTER consider only these or those projects that will be founded on the Engine ecosystem that you mentioned? And would you consider gaming projects that are not based on Ethereum or Engine?
Sure. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we can't limit ourselves to that. We are speaking to projects, especially games that have launched on other chains. And we're looking at working with them to get them exposed to the Engine ecosystem. It could be a case where we create an NFT strategy, or it could be a case where we host a virtual real estate sale. So our intent really is to kind of grow the ecosystem. The space is so new. We don't see anyone as a competition. We're looking to work with as many people as possible. And I think the unique aspect of our launchpad is that you don't necessarily need to issue tokens. There are other innovative ways that you can leverage a community to raise capital as well as to build an ecosystem. And since we came out about 2 weeks ago, we've been speaking to a whole lot of projects, and we've been getting so much exciting feedback. There's been a lot of ideas that have been come about, and we look to kind of brainstorm a lot more with the community, and we will look to evolve some of these ideas. But definitely, to answer that question, we're not restricting ourselves to projects that are only in the Engine ecosystem.
Yeah, and Engine ecosystem itself.
Shash, please continue. Yes.
The Engine ecosystem itself is becoming extremely open right now. They are integrating the Binance Smart Chain in their ecosystem. It'll have Cosmos, it'll have Matic, it'll have all these within them. So the goal is to have all these, and they have this amazing Unity SDK, which allows for game developers to really link up with the games as well. So they try to become a one-stop shop for all NFTs cross-chain, and that's where Polkadot and the parachain ecosystem comes into play, and that's where the real build is happening. Because what's going to happen now in the Engine wallet, you will be able to use and have all sorts of items from all blockchains that have NFTs on it, and this never been done before. And not only that, you can now cross chain and you can transfer from BSC NFTs to Engine. You can transfer from Polygon to Engine, to from Ethereum to Engine, Cosmos, Solana to Crypto.com. They have this new blockchain called Kronos, which they just released. So with all these possibilities happening, it's not about competition anymore, and it's about growing the ecosystem and getting as many builders to build on it. And eventually what's going to happen, builders will just build on any chain and it will be usable on any chain. And that was the one internet, one like cross chain needs to become like one item. And I see this new Engine wallet which is coming up. I was privileged enough to demo how it's going to be looking like. It's one of the best infrastructures that will play like a key role with people using NFTs and interacting with blockchains in general in the future. And I'm very excited about that. So to answer your question, like limiting, even Engine themselves are not limiting, then why should Engine Starter be limiting? Like more the merrier, more people building stuff, the better it is.
Very insightful. Prakash, do you still have like a couple of minutes to stick around, because there are two more questions coming from Telegram. So do stick with us. Shash, we also have this hashtag Ask Shash, which is ongoing right now on social pages, as well as in our Telegram group as well. So Fyodor, via Telegram, has this question for you. How do you visualize Engine Starter as a game changer, and why we should consider it as an investment opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably the best guy to ask this question, because I came up with the idea to make sure this happens. Like Prak and I are really old friends. And when I learned about what Engine was doing and the launch of Efinity and JumpNet and their ecosystem, I just went to Prak and I'm like, this has to be done, bro. Like, this is going to be the best thing for the ecosystem that Engine is building. And it is so important. And I will explain to you how I visualize it. For an ecosystem to become successful, it needs to have things happening on it. But for things to happen on it, it needs people to get their projects starting, launched, getting funding, getting initial amount to get things moving for them. And that is the missing link on JumpNet right now. So when JumpNet comes out, people will have to build somewhere, fundraise somewhere, etc. Engine Starter fulfills that gap. With Engine Starter coming into picture, it becomes so much easier for people to stay within the Engine ecosystem. And that's just one part, right? With the partners that Engine Starter has gotten, it becomes easy for them to incubate, accelerate, help with future partnerships, community building, etc. for projects, which is very important for a project to be able to take off, because most game developers are developers, right? They need to have that support to be able to do everything else, from business development to marketing to regulations to compliance. There is so much that needs to be done, and having that one-stop solution which Engine Starter then provides, including tokenizing, helping out with how they can get support from Engine as well. This is the real important part of it. And it's easy to build an IDO, and there are so many platforms that are releasing any project in any chain at all. They don't care. But having a focused ecosystem to grow, you get support from not just the people within that ecosystem, but for people who want to come into the ecosystem and the ecosystem developers and founders themselves. So like, this is a no-brainer for me. Like, this is a mandatory project to support and be involved in.
Super spot on again, Shash. I think for game projects and developers, right, all they want is to raise fund in a healthy way, maintain community interest during game development, and acquire early users, right? And all this, they could actually leverage on Engine and Engine Starter to achieve all this. And, we want to swing it back to Prakash. This is a question that is provided by ZRS. Why are you saying that it is a gaming launchpad? And what is the special thing that makes Engine Starter so different? And since almost all launchpads out there, right, already support launch of gaming tokens as well, What's your hot take on this?
So I think I'll clarify that, right? The way that we see it is that we are focused on blockchain gaming as well as metaverses. And out there are many launchpads, but they support projects from a whole range of verticals. There's DeFi, there's community building. Ours is very, very focused on blockchain gaming. And our launchpad would also, like what I earlier mentioned, will be built primarily on NFTs, which would allow us to actually support crowdfunding in a whole range of ways beyond just issuing tokens. And I think that's where we're going to be different from the launchpads out there. Further down the road, what we hope to do is to introduce things like gamified DeFi, as well as to kind of gamify the entire experience on the launchpad. We're going to create quests for the community. For example, we're speaking to a group of game testers, and instead of just giving them work on a regular basis, we're going to send them on a quest. We're going to get them to actually participate in a game-based environment to support community building, as well as to fix certain problems in the ecosystem. So these are ways that we expect to be different from all the other launchpads that exist.
Our great brother from another mother, Chris Basil, has this last question for you before we let you go, Prakash. Has Infinity launched already, and how can we find out more about it?
I will let Sash take this. Sash is a better
Over to
person
you.
to
Would you like
answer
to jump
this.
in, Sash?
Yeah. So Efinity is still being worked on. Actually, the engine team is working very, very closely with the Polkadot team themselves to launch this, because for Polkadot itself is going to be the key NFT platform for their parachain ecosystem, right? So no, Efinity has not been launched yet. Their token launches on the 4th. I think that's tomorrow. I'm releasing my podcast with the co-founder VTech and the CEO Caleb tomorrow as well. So it's going to be very exciting. How can we find out more about it? Oh, well, just go to actually, we released a new video on it yesterday, giving you all
Very
the information
informative.
you need on Efinity. So you can just watch it on Altcoin Buzz, which is youtube.com/altcoinbuzz. And it's like a full detailed 25-minute video where you can have any information you need about Efinity. I'll post a link here. I don't know where this link goes, but I posted it anyways.
We'll share it in the community.
Fantastic. So, Prakash, before we let you go, any last words or anything for our listeners who are replaying this on AirPods or maybe a smart speaker later on?
Sure. I mean, thank you very much if you're tuning in. This is our first episode. We're going to be doing this weekly. The intent of the Saloon is for us to invite key influencers like Sash to be an inspiration and also to educate. We are an ecosystem builder, and always when it comes to ecosystem building, we always are very passionate about educating. We are always passionate about interacting. And it's beyond just us. It's going to be our friends. It's going to be our peers. It's going to be a whole lot of people from the ecosystem that we hope to invite into this platform, whether they're working with us or not. We want to share. We want to gain their wisdom. We want to share that with our community. And eventually, our aspiration is that people from the community will actually become guests on this platform, where they're going to be sharing insights. They're going to be sharing about how the ecosystem has benefited them, how has blockchain gaming been a game changer for them. And that's really what the vision is. But in order for us to succeed, we will need everyone to come in to support. Tune in, whether it's on Facebook, on YouTube, or whether it's on Twitch. We're going to be testing out new platforms. We're going to be testing out new formats. We're going to be doing a whole range of activities moving forward. Come share, be part of the community, give us ideas on how we can be better. And if we're doing a great job, we appreciate if you can spread the word, bring more like-minded people into this community, and together we can all rise up. Thank you.
Fantastic. Prakash. Very well said. And we can't wait for what's coming up next. So thank you for spending time with us. And we definitely want to re-invite you back to this podcast so that we can do a one-to-one 30-minute session with you. I think you have more things to actually share with us next time. So make sure that we re-invite you back in the future. And I'll see you very soon, my friend. That's Prakash, CEO of ENJINSTARTER. Let's resume our podcast, and I have some more questions for you, Shash. So I'm not sure how much time have you left.
I have got to go in 8 minutes. So we have 8 minutes.
So I'll just squeeze in maybe one last question and maybe do a speed round so that we can squeeze as many answers from you as much as possible in the remaining 8 minutes. Yeah. So the next question, or the second last question. Yeah. You had mentioned about altcoin buzz. So I think definitely we want to do justice by making sure that you mention or talk more about it. So tell us about your current and future ambitions and side projects that you are working on right now. So altcoin buzz is one of them. How about Fungible and ENJFi as well? Tell us about these three projects.
Yeah, so altcoin buzz was something I started back in 2017. The goal was to make it easy for people to understand what's happening in crypto, but the real goal was I didn't have enough money to do anything at that moment. So I couldn't be an investor, I couldn't be a trader, I didn't know how to trade at all. And I thought this space was fascinating, and I think it was worth leaving everything. I was literally living off my wife at that point of time, and I was like, this space seems so interesting. I want to spend all my time and effort just figuring out what's going on. So 2016, 17, 18, I was literally just trying to research and find out as much as I could. And as I did that, we used to put out the content on the YouTube channel that like has now become a team of over 30 people, where we posting content on a regular basis. We have a daily news segment, we have a technical analysis segment, reviews, etc., etc. But we're revamping the business model with altcoin buzz as well, and moving more towards a more research and analysis company, and more towards an investment company than what we are right now, which is more of a news and a media organization. And I think the models need to change. So it's going to be very interesting. But with my experience with altcoin buzz, one thing I realized that the more you learn, the more you tell people what's going on, is the best way to be involved in this space. And there is nothing more interesting for me specifically than to do that. So in 2019, I actually launched fungible.com, which is fungible with the J, which was like a simple game review site, because I was very excited about what's happening with Engine. I wanted to kind of write and get game reviews on the website as well. But it's something that took bit of a back step, because we're not a funded company, right? Altcoin buzz runs because because I invest in it. So that's the only way for it to survive. So the bear market was pretty brutal on all of us. So I took a bit of a breather and could not build Fungible anymore. But now things are good, and I can get back to relaunching Fungible with the new style and idea. And I think it's going to be super exciting. Started working on it. You will see some interesting stuff happening on it on a month's time. Then ENJFi is this new fund I'm launching with the guys from Engine to invest and build and grow the Engine ecosystem. And that's one of the more exciting ventures for me, because I think infrastructure, metaverse, NFTs, blockchain gaming, these are the places to look on and to be completely, be aware of what's going on. And because I'm spending so much time, effort on it, running a fund on that becomes only the best way to support and help new and upcoming projects and developers to do the crazy things that they want to do, and come up with the crazy ideas that they want to do. So that ENJFi is like my latest fund venture. We're still in the process of setting it up, but it should be very exciting in my opinion. So yeah, these are the three ventures that I'm busy with. Besides that, I'm extremely involved with ENJINSTARTER as well, to make sure that it launches and things happen in it the right way. I'm very involved with this project called Unbound, where I help with again the business side of things. But Unbound is interesting because it's one of the key and more innovative projects on the DeFi side of things. You can check it out on unbound.finance. Yeah, so that is a gist of what I've been up to.
Fantastic. And these are really exciting times indeed. And all these links that you provide us, we will insert it in our show notes for our podcast replay. So make sure our listeners, will go check out all the projects they are working on right now. We have exactly 1 minute left. So I think let's squeeze as many answers as possible, as many questions as possible. So let's move on to rapid fire questions momentarily. Here are the rules. You must give really short and pithy response, maybe 1 sentence or 2 maximum. Are you ready?
Okay, fine.
Let's go. What are your proudest life moments?
Oh my God! Like this this came out of nowhere. What am I? Just I think I don't know. I can't think of any. I had a baby last year. That was pretty proud moment for me. So yeah, I think that would be it.
Congratulations. What do you want doing less of in 2021?
Going out, man.
Safety
Your
first.
question is what am I doing less in 2021? Is that the question?
What do you want doing less of in the rest of this year?
Oh,
Going
I want
out,
to stay less at home. I want to stay less at home. I want to go out more. So, yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. What do you want doing more of in 2021 then?
What I want to do more of? Is that the question?
That's correct.
I want to work out more. That's what I want to do. I've been sitting and doing all this crypto stuff 24/7. That need to spend more time working out. That'll be good. Yeah.
And when the gyms are reopened, I think I'll see you there in the gym. Yeah. And let's do a workout together. What are your advice for those who are entering into this space?
Be patient. That's the best advice. Like, this space is brutal, and if you're not patient, it's very painful. Patience is really, this space will give you many chances. You'll get double chances, third chances in this space, and don't FOMO and buy stuff like you think you'll miss out. There will be ample opportunities here. So being patient is the best thing one can do. If you missed out an opportunity and you think it's too late, don't FOMO into it. Take your time. That's the only thing.
Last question. How can people reach you?
I'm on the ENJINSTARTER Telegram group and the Altcoin Buzz Telegram group.
And of course, you told us about the YouTube channel. So we have that link across this screen right below here. So we urge all our listeners and viewers who are watching this live stream right now to go hit that URL on your browser and go check out your YouTube channel. Yeah. So I think we're going to put this into our podcast show notes as well to make sure that people and drive more traffic over to your channel. So thank you so much. You've been a great person with a lot of personality, I think, and great knowledge as well. So we would love to have you back to our podcast in the future. So any last words or last message for our listeners who are replaying these podcasts on your AirPods or smart speaker later on?
Yeah, appreciate you having me on, Wayne. It was so great to speak with you finally. I think it's so good that you're starting this. This is an amazing initiative. I've seen some of your previous podcasts as well, and you've always been an enthusiast of this space, and you've been asking all the right questions. I'm actually very excited to see how you take this further, and getting you involved with ENJINSTARTER and seeing this happening was like really one of the most proudest moments for me. And when I spoke to you on chat and we kind of figured out that this was happening and this was an initiative that was happening, I was very excited, because things like this is what makes really the community understand, grow, and do better things. So yeah, well done. This is all I have to say right now.
Thank you so much, my friend. And thank you so much for joining us today. So to learn more about special guest, Shash, so you can check out our podcast show notes. You've been listening to ENJINSTARTER Saloon and presented by ENJINSTARTER. So this episode is hosted and produced by me, Wayne Chong. And of course, we have Shash, as well as the CEO of ENJINSTARTER, Prakash, on the show today, and also contributing to the success of this show. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to everyone for listening. So with that, I bid you adieu, my friend. I'll see you very soon, hopefully in real life. Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye.